Hello everyone, welcome to another video for the Flesh and Blood card game. In this video, since Outsiders is right around the corner, I thought it would be a good idea to review some of the brand new cards from Outsiders. Some cards I will be doing a brief explanation of, but others I will go a little more in depth. This series, and I'm going to call it a series because I'm going to split it up into 3 videos. This first video is going to be all of the new assassin stuff. The second video is going to be all of the ranger and ninja stuff. And then the third video is going to be all of the dual class hybrid stuff and all of the generic stuff. So, with that said, let's go on to the video. Let's start with the 2 brand new heroes. First is Uzuri. Uzuri has the effect once per turn, attack reaction. Banish a card from your hand face down. Turn the banished card face up. If it's an attack action with cost 2 or less, put target attacking card with stealth from the active chain link on the bottom of its owner's deck. Then put the banished card onto the active chain link as the attacking card. Uzuri has standard intellect and standard health. I know that's a pretty wordy effect, but pretty much it is banish a card from your hand, flip the card face up when the effect resolves, banishing is part of the cost. Then, if the card you banished is an attack with cost 2 or less, and you're attacking with a stealth card, you put that stealth card on the bottom, and you put the card you banished into play as the attacking card. That's the easiest way to explain it. Do note that you're not attacking with the card, it is put into play attacking, which means some attack triggers won't trigger. Something like a Enlightened Strike, you won't get the choice because you're not attacking with it. Something like a Ravenous Rabble, you shouldn't have to flip the card for because you're not attacking with it. So there are some good and some bad, but mainly you'll be putting in something like her own specialization Shakedown, or something like a Command and Conquer or an Erase Face, some bigger attack that you can get a lot of push out of, and it's pretty much 2 free resource every turn. And for an aggro deck, which is what Uzuri is trying to be, this set is more focused on the aggro part of Assassin and not so much the control part like Arachne was. I think that's fine, and Uzuri gets a lot of value because she gets the 2 free resource every turn. Is this too strong? Maybe. From what I've seen and heard, her ability is really good and Uzuri is very strong, but we'll obviously have to wait and see because this is a brand new hero with pretty much all brand new cards, because there's only like 2 old assassin cards you'll ever see in Uzuri, which are Surgical Extraction and sometimes Leave No Witnesses. Uzuri also has a young version. Same thing as every other constructed hero, except like 1, but he shall not be named anymore. So, Uzuri. In addition to this set is designed to have 2 young heroes of each class to allow for different choices in draft and sealed. And since they didn't want to reprint old Arachne, since there are literally 0 contract cards in this set, they decided to make a new one. Arachne Solitary Confinement is a young hero only with the effect your first attack with stealth each turn has Go Again. This is very strong when you consider that no stealth attack has Go Again. So this lets you play 2 attacks a turn. Uzuri can really only play 1. Obviously, when we go to Constructed, Azuri has a lot of effects to give her stuff go again, but in this format, there really isn't too much contained in this set that lets you. So Arachne giving your stealth stuff go again is really strong. I think he's a little stronger in Blitz than he would be in something like Commoner, because some of the rare or majestic stealth cards are pretty strong, but he definitely has his upsides, and I think Arachne in Outsiders Sealed and Draft might be a little stronger than Azuri, simply because of that flexibility. Although both of them are definitely good choices, and I think Arachne is definitely really strong. Next, let's talk about the assassin weapons and equipment in the set. First, we have Spider's Bite being the token weapon. Spider's Bite is a reprint, but there are 3 brand new daggers that assassins will get to play with, although all of them are very similar. Similar to Spider's Bite, they're all 1 power, 1-handed daggers with the effects once per turn action, pay 2 resource, attack, go again, and they all have piercing, which if you don't remember what that does, is if this card is defended by an equipment, it has +1 power, it referring to the dagger. And the 3 new daggers are pretty similar to Spider's Bite in their bonus effect. All of them say when they hit a hero, the next time that hero defends with something specified by the dagger, it gets -1 armor while defending. Nerve Scalpel is reactions, Orbitoclast is non-attack actions, and Scale Peeler is equipment. The 2 strongest here are definitely Nerve Scalpel and Scale Peeler. Sadly, Orbitoclast isn't the best. It's probably only good enough in the Wizard matchup, but even in the Wizard matchup, do you really need to make all their stuff block for 1 less? Because I don't really think so. I think you probably have a good enough matchup into them already, especially with some of these new reactions. So it seems a little limited. Same thing with Spider's Bite. Looking at Spider's Bite before, it seemed really strong, but there's not really a deck other than like Ninja that is like all in on attacks. So Spider's Bite is also feeling a little weak. However, since it is the token weapon, it will be pretty strong to just have 2 of it guaranteed in Draft and Sealed. But the main 2 I want to look at here are the Nerve Scalpel and the Scale Peeler. Something that we'll see in the 3rd video, which is the hybrids, there are a lot of stuff to let you throw your daggers, meaning you'll get their hit effect by destroying it. Scale Peeler definitely fits that the best, being able to lower your opponent's equipment block. And against some matchups like Guardian, or even a matchup like Ninja, who have a deceptively high amount of armor, you get a lot of value off of the Scale Peeler in some late game situations. However, none of them are as strong as the Nerve Scalpel. Nerve Scalpel cares about reactions. Why does this matter? Well, when you're throwing daggers, none of them really do anything until your next attack, because it's all the next card to defend, not the current cards defending. But with Nerve Scalpel, if you throw the dagger before your opponent plays any defense reactions, Nerve Scalpel will lower them, which makes Nerve Scalpel probably the best dagger that Assassin has. I could see Assassin playing 3 Nerve Scalpel in total, since you can play up to 3 of these. So 1 in your sideboard, with either 2 in play or 2 in your sideboard with 1 in play and 1 of the other daggers, because I think they're all pretty strong to play as one-ofs in your sideboard to re-equip later. Again, you'll see that when we discuss the hybrid cards. As a new equipment, Assassin only gets 1 new legendary, but they will get some hybrid. The new legendary is the Redback Shroud. Redback Shroud is pretty similar to the old Assassin equipment for Arachne, where they're 1 blocks with Battle Worn, and you can buy them back with 2 silver. The effect on Redback Shroud is similar to what you'd expect chess pieces to have, which is some form of mana production or mana cheat. Redback Shroud has an attack reaction to destroy it, and give the next attack reaction you play 1 less cost. If you're playing Assassin, this is probably the pick. Sometimes, it'll be a little difficult, but with some of the spikes, which we'll be talking about later, Redback Shroud is really strong to make them free, and it's a 1 block, and I could easily see Azuri decks playing something like Payday. So if they can give something like Leave No Witnesses or Surgical Extraction go again, they'll be able to play it and then buy back these Redback Shrouds and Blacktech Whispers, which is probably the way that you gave that attack go again. Now let's take a look at the Majestics. Assassin will get 3 new not weapon Majestics, being Infiltrate, Shakedown, and Spreading Plague. Infiltrate is the only stealth attack to be a Majestic, and is a red with 3 attack and 3 block. Infiltrate has Stealth. When this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. You may play it until the end of your next turn. This card does seem a little niche, but there are some situations where you do steal something nice, something like maybe a head jab from Ninja, or a Ravenous Rabble from also Ninja. Honestly, the best cards you could take are Ninja things, since they're generally the best that go with the way Assassin, or at least the stealth assassins, want to be playing. But you could also get some other nice things. You could hit a defense reaction. You could hit just a strong attack you can play next turn. If you're in Arachne, the new Arachne, this has go again if it's your first thing. So if you hit one of those, you can play that off of this. So it's not a terrible card. It's definitely better for Arachne Solitary Confinement than Azuri, but I think this will definitely see play. Next is Azuri's Specialization Shakedown. Shakedown is a 2-cost red with 6 power and 3 block. It has Azuri Specialization. If you've played or activated an attack reaction this chain link, Shakedown has, when this hits a hero, choose red, yellow, or blue. Then they reveal their hand. Banish a card of the chosen color. Think of this as a mix between Surgical Extraction and Command and Conquer. Not only is it hand attack, being able to pick apart your opponent's hand, but it also makes your opponent use literally everything under the sun to block it. Surgical Extraction is a very strong card. This is an even stronger card. Surgical is a blue and has 4 power, which makes it slightly worse than this, but you will still play both in Azuri. I might be overrating this a little more. Well, I'm not overrating it. I might be overgrading it above Surgical a little more, but with a CNC stat line and a Surgical extraction type effect. This is definitely an incredibly strong specialization that you will see as a 3 of in almost any Uzuri deck. The final Majestic is Spreading Plague. Spreading Plague is a yellow attack reaction that costs 1 and has 3 block. Spreading Plague creates X Bloodpox tokens under the defending hero's control, where X is the number of cards defending this chain link. Just think of this as a reckless swing. That's about it. Bloodpox tokens, which will be important later, are tokens that at the end of the person who controls them turn, deals 2 damage to them unless they pay 3 resource. If your opponent has extra cards in their hand, they can just prevent the damage, but in a late game situation where your opponent's blocking your stuff, and even sometimes in this situation where your opponent is overblocking to not get hit by a bigger attack, Spreading Plague can definitely put in some big numbers, and it is a pretty good card you should expect to see in some of your Assassin games. Finally, let's talk about the rares and commons. Unless something is super important for me to talk about, I'll just really speed through it and give my brief thought. Backstab makes it so your opponent can't play defense reactions to its chain link, making it really good in Uzuri when putting into place something like a Command and Conquer. This is because your opponent can't respond to Uzuri's ability with D-Reacts, since Backstab is still the active chain link, so it allows you to cheat something into play. Do note your opponent can still play D-Reacts after Backstab goes on the bottom of your deck, since it's no longer the active chain link, but playing it to put in something that can't have D-Reacts played against it is your best bet. Sneak Attack is an attack designed to be put into play with Uzuri. That's about it. Think of this as a nicher Swarming Gloomveil. It's not as good, but in a draft and sealed environment, Sneak Attack will definitely see a bit of play if you pull them. Next is the 3 Spikes. These cards don't come in any color other than red. They're all 1 cost with 3 block and attack reactions. They all give stealth attacks plus 3 power, and when the attack hits, give a token to your opponent. Spike with Bloodrot gives the Bloodrot token I talked about with Spreading Plague. Spike with Frailty gives your opponent a token that makes their attacks from weapons and arsenal have 1 less power. And Inertia is an effect akin to Seek and Destroy, which at the end of the turn destroys all cards in the controller's hand and arsenal. All these are pretty strong. Frailty is definitely the weakest. I think Bloodrot will see play just because it's extra damage. And Inertia is probably the best one. So expect to see that one the most. But Bloodrot is a very close second. Moving on to the commons. Infect is just a stealth attack that applies a Bloodrot Pox when it hits. Isolate is a stealth attack with Dominate. Pretty good if you're putting in something with Dominate, similar to how the Backstab was. Malignant, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, can't have its damage prevented. It's okay. Prowl gives your next stealth attack this combat chain +1. This is more good in Arachne than Uzuri. Sedate is the attack that applies an Inertia if it hits. Wither is the attack that applies a Frailty if it hits. Something I did forget to mention. Literally all of these stealth attacks are 0 cost that block 3 and have 3 power at red, 2 at yellow, and 1 at blue. Similar to how all of the contract cards have similar attacks for their cost when you compare costs. The final assassin common in this set is Razor's Edge, which is a free attack reaction that gives an attack with stealth +3. Similar to a Cut to the Chase, it's just a free react that goes on the assassin specific things, and Razor's Edge will just be a pretty good attack reaction. That's going to be it for the assassin cards, and remember this is the only assassin cards. Next video, we'll be looking at all of the new ninja cards, as well as all of the new ranger cards. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed. Good luck in your pre-releases, which I think actually by the time this goes up, most people would have played in their pre-release. So I hope you did well in your pre-release. I wish you luck on your boxes if you bought any. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.